And just like that, we're here. Good evening, dear friends. So happy to have you with us tonight on this Wednesday, this hump day. My name is Nicholas Viselli. I am the artistic director of Theater Breaking Through Barriers. And guess what? I'm coming to you terribly, terribly live from right here in the heart of the Thunderdome in bustling and busy Midtown Manhattan. And on behalf of all of our artists, I want to cordially welcome each and every one of you to Theater Breaking Through Barriers' 6th Virtual Playmakers Intensive, or VPI 6. Star Changers. I hope that some of you had the great opportunity to see our 7:30 show. We had a really wonderful first show tonight, and I'm so excited that I don't want to talk too much because I want to get right into this one. We had a great play last night. We had a really wonderful, fun piece by the amazing Stuart Green called oh my God, The Contraltos, a nice, fun send up of The Sopranos. So we decided we were going to shift gears tonight and really talk about or really do a work that is so incredibly rich and fascinating. The play is by one of my favorite artists, and I'm going to say, I still have not had the opportunity to meet Rebecca Quinn Robertson in person, although I feel like we know each other very well just through this medium. So I'm hoping that before too long, we'll have that opportunity. Rebecca wrote a really wonderful piece called Of Letters, or The Book Club. It was directed by Subin who is, this is Subin's first time working with TV, and I hope it's not the last time, because I think their work is quite wonderful. And I know that we will be seeing Subin later on in the intensive as well. The cast is just this 1, 2, 3 powerhouse. Samantha, Debicki, Melissa, Jennifer Gonzalez, and Gaia Visnar. So without any further ado, I want to say that we need to do a little bit of a brief audio description for the benefit of those who can't see us, so that you'll have an opportunity to know, to meet the actors and get to hear their voices, so you'll know who is playing whom. So I'm going to turn this over to the artists right now. If you could just give us a brief audio description, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Sam Debicki. I play Sarah. I'm a Caucasian woman with red hair, and I'm wearing a light blue sweater.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Jennifer Gonzalez. My pronouns are she, they. I am I'm a light-skinned Latinx with multicolored hair, most of it dark brown with purple and blue highlights. I'll be reading for the part of Marie.
And hi, my name is Gaia Visnar. I'm a Caucasian woman with long, wavy brown hair and blue eyes. I am playing Gail, and I'm wearing a purple t-shirt saying, "We are going to change the world."
So dear friends, sit back, relax, and enjoy Rebecca Quinn Robertson's Of Letters, or Book Club. 3 creatures sign on to Zoom. They don't bear the trepidation one normally encounters at the beginning of a Zoom meeting. They seem comfortable, their postures relaxed, and they smile at each other. They're all Zooming from their bedrooms, which reflect their personalities. They're all 3 quite young, but have qualities of expression and a thoughtful gaze that makes them feel they could be any age at all. Gail has long flowing hair and a bemused twinkly expression in her mouth and eyes at all times, a little otherworldly, as though not totally mortal. Marie has gorgeous bright colors rippling through her long dark hair. She has the vibe of a woman who is a few years into practicing not giving a flying what you think of her. Sarah, their fearless moderator, steeples her fingers beneath her chin, watching Marie and Gail, a subtle smile glazing her features. She is everything one wants of an authority figure, warm, clear, and compassionately challenging. The title of this Zoom reads Spring Lit 201, 2022.
So, first impressions?
Scintillating.
Are you being sarcastic?
Oh, no, I liked it a lot. It's quite provocative, but
I fucking loved it. I'm sad it's fiction.
Marie, what's the ambivalence?
well, it's totally thrilling as a concept, don't get me wrong. In some unexpressed part of me that needs catharsis, yes, sure. But
Follow the thread.
no matter how delicious the conceit, fundamentally, it's just not realistic.
What?
Okay, hang on, Gail.
It's not. That's not what women would do with power.
It isn't.
No, I don't think so. I think it's what men would do or have done, but not women. You know what? Let's admit that the language is reductive, obviously. But what I mean to say is that those who identify as women of any sort would not use some inexplicable, basically supernaturally occurring experience to heretofore unknown physical prowess to oppress others. Scants of vengeance, of retribution? Sure, but self-defense, definitely.
But
But
isn't a woman's entire life one of self-defense?
Expand, Gail.
Well, after centuries of offense, of incessant internalized terror at the hands of, okay, not men, but masculine systems, masculine mechanisms, masculine members of society, masculine interpretations, masculine law and order. You know, how could a woman's existence mean anything but the inverse?
And you believe that the inverse is self-defense?
Yes, women's lives are defined by self-protection.
Marie, do you agree with this idea of our current reality?
well, I got a question first. Have you ever had to defend yourself against bodily harm?
Remember, no one has to answer anything personal that they don't want to.
Sure, she can pass.
Well, I guess I haven't. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Of course I have. I'm a waitress.
Whoa, come again?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I must blog that out when discussing real life. Yeah, I mean, people touch me all the time.
In a way that makes you feel unsafe?
Sure, of course.
Is it
Sexual, sometimes.
So what do you do to protect yourself?
Well, I use, my wiles mostly. I've never gotten physical with someone.
gotten physical?
Except last week, actually. People are crazy right now. Excuse me, mentally unwell.
How so?
Well, this guy just reached out to me and grabbed me by my shoulder.
Jeez, how I hate that.
Yeah. So I took his hand in mine and gave it back to him. And I looked into his eyes and said, "Do not ever touch me. Do you understand?" I was loud too.
Whoa. Well, how did he respond?
Well, my manager interceded at that point. He had to, the whole club saw. So the guy calmed down.
Wait, is your manager a man?
Yeah.
See, it's their language. Most men can only be guaranteed to behave with socially appropriate behavior if made aware of a threat of physical violence. It's the currency they understand.
Right. So that's why the book is realistic. How else could all but a few maniacs be made to fear hurting women, to take them seriously?
But it wouldn't happen. It's fiction. And even if women did suddenly have this ability, I'm telling you, they would use it as a warning. Hey, I'm not gonna fuck you up. But remember, I could.
Why? Because women are morally purer than men? Isn't that reductive?
Well, is that what you mean, Marie? That women are incapable of the type of violent behaviors we usually associate with men?
No, come on. I mean, they're not pure. Have you met me? But women, women happen to be creators, not destroyers. And this is the most important distinction. Self-defense will always be different than unmitigated malicious violence.
Gail, did you want something else to happen the other night?
What do you mean?
Just the way you described it. There was this, I don't know if this is cool for me to talk about, come to think of it.
This conversation is getting personal because it's a primal topic, and that's okay. Right, Gail?
Yeah, totally. What were you?
Well, there was this thrill in your voice. When you described speaking to that guy so directly, daring him to challenge you, it actually reminded me of the book.
I mean, did I want to retaliate? Yes. It was satisfying to just take his hand from my body decisively to say, fuck no. And to know that in this one instance, that was true. Because there were too many witnesses around. He couldn't do anything else to me. He couldn't get mad because I stood up for myself.
Did you think about...
Oh, no, I could never actually hit someone. And I never have, thank God.
Why do you say thank God?
What do you mean? If I lost it and I hit a person?
What if you had?
Well, I would have...
What, burst into flames?
Been upset?
I don't know. I would have felt different than I thought I was.
Is that the authentic feeling, or do you think it's closer to guilt?
Ooh, guilt. I almost slapped my ex once, and I still think about it. And I divorced that person with more glee than anything else I did in my life.
I didn't know you were divorced, Marie. You're so young.
Yeah, 5 years. Praise her.
Was your ex, or is your ex, a violent...
He was a man, and no, he was just incredibly selfish. The almost slap in question was because he was being a prick. And that was the day I knew I was divorcing him.
What happened?
Reminder, feel free to say pass.
Oh, no, I'm good. Basically, he would not acknowledge me. Or was it reality? I had to fight for a few years after our divorce for him to take responsibility for the kids. It was like my solitary decision in his mind to have children. It was my deal because I birthed them. So even divorcing him wasn't reclaiming my life, because he pretended that they were my issue because I'm their mother. And I could have gotten along, but my life matters too.
Yeah, that's infuriating.
Yeah, I will always take care of them because I grew them. But I never felt it was fair because I didn't felt it was fair just because I was born the woman in this arrangement of ours, that he should never feel as beholden to them as I do.
Yeah. It's like a kind of a madness, right? The denial. Imagine if, like in the book, instead of women potentially having to fear the person they're made children with, that the men were the ones who had to wonder, what will she do if I don't help take care of the kids?
Right.
How might it restructure society if there were true consequences for what we assign to certain male behaviors?
But do you really think women are better people? Or have they been trained to be morally superior out of a Pavlovian relationship to bodily fear? Or because they birth and protect children? Because I felt like my mother protected me, but she was hard to be raised by.
How did she protect you?
Well, she left the country where I was born with me and my sister to escape my father, actually.
Oh, shit.
Wow, Gail.
Yeah.
That is-
Thankfully, he didn't follow. I get the impression he wasn't the kind of a person who would have abided by a restraining order. You know?
Yeah, well, we all know about restraining orders.
I think now she died about a year ago. That's why I'm finishing this degree online. But anyway, I can't stop thinking of the things that I wish I'd asked her about how she decided to leave. I don't even know what he did. Can I tell you something? So before I read this book, I had every intention of tracking him down. I wanted to look into his face, to talk to him, smell him. But this story permeated me, helped me finally get it, what the ways that would be of everything she had to do to keep us as far away from him as she could. Everything came after being our mother.
You know, if my husband hadn't passed, I don't think I would have known that I didn't want to be a mother.
I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't know you.
Thanks.
I wish I'd had the time to realize that.
You don't like being a mother?
Well, see, it's more complex than I can put into words, you know. I wouldn't take back anything I did for any earthly reason. I love my children. But now that I know myself, I realize I was never supposed to be a mother.
I wonder if my mother felt that way. I wish I could thank her. I was so angry to not have a father. I feel like I overlooked, what it took her to save our lives.
Loss makes such an imprint. It's a really important kind of vulnerability.
That's something I kept thinking while reading this book, how different it might be if only men knew in their bodies how it changes you from your cells out to be vulnerable.
It sounds like a good companion novel. I think it's a point Naomi was trying to get across.
I just think that the emphasis changed into portraying potential women's descent into viciousness. Instead of looking at how this scenario could change men, what we got instead was, and then women would try to eat the world and be just as grotesque while doing so. I mean, go figure.
You know what they say? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. And it sounds like the circular, self-fulfilling language of the patriarchy, if you ask me.
Well, this is what makes for good debate, though. The arguments we're having are bound to our having been raised within a patriarchal context. Naomi is trying to imagine a parallel world, but she can't ultimately separate it from the one we're living in.
I wonder if she's gay. Well, I mean, if she does date dudes, That would be a really awesome intro. Oh yeah, hi, I'm a writer. What have I written? Oh, this gentle little fable here.
Well, if she does, it would have to be an unusual kind of a man, right?
It would probably be quite intimidating. Yes. And masculinity does not always respond so well to intimidation.
Yeah. Mm.
I think I could love a man if I knew he truly understand what it felt like to be afraid.
I don't think I could love a man, period. See, I'm done with them. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I just need to put it to bed.
Sarah, when you started teaching this, did you think you'd talk so much about men?
Well, it was inevitable, actually, especially when I first taught it.
Oh,
You see,
why?
the first iteration of Talking Rage, Women's Liberation Through Literature, was for community service at a women's correctional facility.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and because most of the women were there for crimes committed to save their lives from the men they loved, men came up a lot, especially from me.
Sorry, what do you mean?
What did you do?
Wait, you were in the prison?
Yeah, it's where I completed my PhD. I'd been pursuing it when I was convicted. I went to prison for killing my husband in self-defense.
Holy fuck.
Sarah, I'm so sorry.
I'm okay. This was more than a few years ago. Don't worry. I am in therapy.
Do you mind my asking?
What happened?
Luke, that was his name. We were high school sweethearts. He was wonderful most of the time until he was truly terrible. You know this story.
Go on.
Please, if you want to.
Well, one night, it was literally him or me. He had me by the neck over the bathtub. If I hadn't had this crazy steel vase in the bathroom, we would not be having this conversation. And I loved him. I couldn't have loved him more.
God, Sarah.
I used to be so sad that I didn't have his child so I could keep a piece of him. But ultimately, that would have been so much worse.
What do you mean?
How could I ever explain?
You'd say you saved your own life?
And were you convicted?
Manslaughter.
Insanity.
If it hadn't been for his mother, I would have gotten worse. She testified on my behalf in my defense.
Wow.
Yeah, she wrote to me constantly in jail, visited constantly. She pushed me to finish this PhD and to teach this class.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I think she felt guilty for how much he'd hurt me before.
God, the force of women's guilt could dismantle and rebuild society in one fell swoop.
Then it became a force for good. I started teaching this in my facility, and it went really well. And I continued when I got out. I couldn't stop. For the first time in my entire life, I actively loved something that I was doing. Instead of Macbeth, we concentrated on his wife. Is she evil, or is she just narrowly confined? And how can we not sympathize with a person whose entire depths are meant to be contained within her own husband's shadow? The women, I mean, you've never seen anyone so alive as these women, just talking about their rage.
And now here we are.
Because something awful came to good.
Oh, wow, it's 12. Our last class is over.
Well, why do you think she chose electricity?
Well, why not?
But I mean, why is that the power, do you think?
Well, Marie used the term supernaturally occurring, which I thought was an intriguing word choice, as lightning is such a mysterious occurrence in the natural world. Men or people can't control it. It's serpent-like, severe, slippery. It's incredibly feminine.
Yeah. But also, maybe it's extraterrestrial weaponry that the aliens will finally use as a way to scale the power between the masculine and feminine in this crazed marble we inhabit.
Naomi is our modern day Cassandra, sent from our galactic neighbors.
Yeah, why not?
I'd believe it. Well, I hope we keep talking. Not for class, obviously. I do need to get on with this damn degree. But I'd love to keep meeting. Is that possible?
Well, yeah, of course.
But what do we call it?
Well, I was inspired by this thing I read the other day about how these groups of women were referred to as women of letters. We could adopt their name.
Cute. What do you think, Marie?
Can we call it something else that doesn't have the title women in it?
Why?
I mean, it's just that I don't fully identify.
Do you mean as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, I'm non-binary, which is why I got divorced.
Amazing.
What did he say when you told him?
Oh, he got so scared. Told me that I lost my mind. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo.
Huh. Thank God you did.
I am totally dropping the ball. We have not even touched on the role of divinity in the story.
Well, we all know that God is feminine. And we don't have to say goddess to know that, right? Like I'm not an actress, I'm a fucking actor.
There you go.
Heard. Language can be expansive, not simply diminishing.
Yeah. Maybe we can start saying members of the patriarchy instead of men. Mops.
Yeah, I do think there's value in discussing the qualities of the feminine and the masculine. Cosmically, yes, but also interpersonally. All of us contain the feminine and the masculine ultimately, no matter who we are.
But I do think the feminine is better than the masculine, just for the record.
You go on.
Yeah, I said it. I mean, but if we can just agree on what better entails.
Well, what would you say, Marie?
I'd say more.
More.
Yep.
Expand, please.
Expand, please.
More inclusivity, more fluidity, more complexity, more ambiguity, more concern and sympathy, more intricacy, more yes, and what else? More receptivity.
More tenderness and ferocity. More expansiveness in specificity.
More electricity.
Oh, that's it
What I
right
did
there.
I know.
I get it.
Electricity indeed. Oh my goodness. What a great work. Thank you guys so much. Amazing. Everybody, Gaia. Oh my God. Samantha, Rebecca, Melissa. What an amazing and fierce group of artists you all are. Thank you for that. Oh, and Tucker, you know what? Forgive me. Tucker came on earlier and we didn't have an opportunity to really chat. And I have to acknowledge Tucker because Tucker does everything. I mean, Tucker is our tech guru. Tucker is the one responsible for bringing us to this place that we are all meeting in Cyberland. Tucker, what do you think? Well, how was tonight's show? Do you have any questions or any thoughts?
It was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really was. It's really, really wonderful. I'm so glad that you guys were all able to create this wonderful work. I guess I want to piggyback a little bit more on what we were talking about in our earlier discussion. For those of you who watched the first show, we were having a very compelling discussion, and we went a little over, so I'm apologizing for that. But that's when some, when you have material that is really rich, you tend to want to talk about it a lot. So I have to apologize to all of you because I didn't give you enough of a break in between the shows. Someone has logged. Subin, are you here? I don't know if you're here. If you're here, just click on.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was not my name. So sorry. But it is me. Yes.
Oh, good. Can you pop on screen? Can we see you?
Hi.
Hi, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy that you can make it to this to this talk back, because there's so much we got into in the first conversation, and I wanted to talk to you about all of this. Do you mind if I start with you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about this play and what it was like for you to direct this incredible group of artists, and your impressions of the script and what this piece really says.
It was really interesting because the characters were obviously based on, real life actors, and a really funny thing happened during our first rehearsal where Melissa and Gaia didn't realize they were actually agreeing on something, and we were discussing that, and Samantha stepped in and kind of mediated the situation, and I was like, it's uncanny. It's as if someone wrote the play based on you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really interesting. So, like, that being said, our first read just flew so naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? The play, when I first read it, it was, I just had one word to say. It was so beautifully written, and just like the language and the last moment and everything. And while we were discussing like the climactic moments or more like a structure, I mentioned that unlike like a traditional like plot structure where it's like, there's like one strong peak, this feels like there are three smaller little climactic moments, which almost reminds me of an electricity
Mm-hmm.
sign, and I thought that was very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. I when I watch plays, especially when you have a really tight ensemble, a tight group, I love the fact that there's a lot of surprises in here. But I tend to think of plays often as music. When you hear the way the lines are constructed, and every part contributes to this piece. Some roles sort of keep a steady beat, and then at one point will create a variation on that, or a solo piece. And there was such a great movement throughout. You learn so much about these three people in this, and I just found it really interesting how it unfolded. And of course I'm just so fascinated by not only what is being said, but how it reflects on our world today.
Uh, Rebecca, I have a question. What do why do you want to put Sarah in jail?
Can't remember what was the initial. I wanted them each to have like a different entry point to the concept of, well, just what their experience of violence was inside of their lives. And I'm moved as a person all the time by the concept that when we meet people and we're kind of conditioned to make weird decisions about what they are like or who they are based on a really tiny amount of interaction with them. And I've never had an experience with a person when I get to know them a little bit where I'm not blown away by some detail about them that is just, that's the whole thing about being alive. I feel like is if you know a little bit about someone, it's almost impossible like not to love them or understand them in some way. So I wanted them all to have some kind of relationship to have something really intense that they were dealing with as a person who presents or most either presents or identifies as a woman in the world. And I think that part kind of came out organically where I thought it'd be really interesting if this person who's this sort of calm, really level-headed authority figure who is helping these other people, it's almost like a therapy meets an academic environment. I love the idea if she revealed, yeah, well, I wasn't very different from the women that I initially taught this class to. I also committed a violent act to save my own life. I also recently read this really strange random article about how that TV show that became popular on like Oxygen or something like that, Women Who Kill, how looking back at it retroactively is really upsetting because most of the narratives of these women who just snapped one day, or even that show Snapped, they had really, really, really long histories of usually intrafamilial violence and sexualized violence. I mean, it's dark stuff, but it was like these, it's very unusual for women to just snap and commit a violent crime out of nowhere. So I really wanted that to be part of the narrative because I felt like then it shakes also the conversation and makes it really not theoretical, but actual for the woman who's teaching the class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved that. I thought it was a wonderful revelation in the middle of it because it's something that, well, no one expects. Obviously, the other participants aren't expecting that either. So it's really quite wonderful when that revelation comes and then at the same time you sort of say there's this great calm and strength in Sarah's character. So I really loved that very much. I thought that was a really great element. I don't know. I find it really interesting because I think in this, to me, now please tell me I'm wrong. Please help me try to understand this. And if I'm not making sense, just say you're not making sense. One of the things that I love about this piece, at least as I'm understanding it, is the fact that you have this group of people that are gathering together not only to discuss the book that they read, but as you said, a therapy session and trying to understand the world that they currently live in and finding, I guess, the similarities and the common grounds within that world. And also the, I guess, why they may feel so, well, I guess the call to change it, because it is it doesn't quite capture who they feel, who they are. It doesn't. It's like this world is too confining to hold them. Is that at all? Am I accurate in this general assessment?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, we're all of you. I mean,
anyone who wants to, I think that is the power of spaces like that, is that you can, especially people who have identified or understand what it's like to identify as a woman at any point in time. I think that there is a hugely freeing safety in talking to other people who share that experience, because you're not afraid that anyone is going to hurt you. That's pretty simple, I think. I think it's a Margaret Atwood anecdote, who was actually this author that the play is based on. It was her mentor, interestingly. I think it was you, Melissa, that mentioned that last time, the similarities. Margaret Atwood said that when she taught, she would ask men and women, or those who identified, what their fear was. And men were afraid of being laughed at, and women were afraid of being murdered. So I think the context for a conversation like this, you couldn't have the same kind of conversation. You might be able to in academia, because probably no one's going to hit you or something like that if you're in a classroom, but maybe if you would be afraid of some kind of later retaliation for being completely honest. And I would love to know what you guys think.
Yeah, please.
No, I absolutely agree with what Rebecca is saying about this idea that men are more afraid of being ridiculed, and that women are afraid of being killed. That is still a present idea going on at the moment. And I feel as though being either one of these genders is scary. But the thing is, I've said this before on our first viewing, that oh geez, we said so much, that it's because there are structures for gender that has been constructed by certain powers that be, that women have to be this, men have to be that. I personally think those kinds of positions that are thrown at us is just tiresome, because really that's just what they are, tiresome. I don't really understand from the men's side why they had to be a certain thing. Why do they feel as though they, and no offense to Nick or Tucker or anyone who's male identifying, but what I believe is that becoming this constructive thing that's been thrown at you is exhausting. In my case, for example, I heard that women are taught not to be hairy or butch or anything like that. Let me tell you, I am done, going through those expectations. I've stopped shaving my arm hair. I still have my arm hair, because here's the truth. We evolved from apes. All apes, no matter what gender they are, they were born hairy. And I've started to embrace my bodily hair. And I personally, so that's one side of it. And then there's this side where I think men should be brave enough to be vulnerable and nurturing, because I don't think this is just exclusively for women to be nurturing and kind and gentle. This is a human trait. This is supposed to be a human trait, regardless of how we identify or who we love. it's just that we're humans. We're not supposed to be robots. And I personally think this whole gender thing is a construct.
Mhm.
I think we should be free to be ourselves and express ourselves without living through people's expectations, because it does a mental number on you, and not in a good way.
I find it, I'll agree with that. I think, I think that while yes, there is certainly a biological component to our species, there, much of how we choose to create our world are based on constructs and traditions, which, as we talked about earlier, human animals love our creatures of habit. We like our traditions. Those traditions need to change and grow. We tend to we put each other in little boxes. And I'm going to go bigger now, not just when it comes to gender, when it comes to race, when it comes to class, when it comes to age, when it comes to ability and disability. We automatically like to put people in, that's how human brains work. We have this great gift. All animals have their gifts. All animals, every animal has one thing that they can do better than other animals because that's their gift. Our gift is the computer we carry on our shoulders. This ability to think and reason and create language and can create the world and complex, but it is also our greatest enemy. It's a double-edged sword. We forget the fact that we are animals, and we forget, and this great brain of ours oftentimes wants to reason, it causes us to think so much that it overrides our sense of our gut feelings, our instincts, our soul, what makes us human. And we make these, and it gets us into a lot of trouble. That's part of our problem, I think. But the other part of the problem is the ability to realize what is not working and to change and to make changes. And the fact that as human animals, we are many, many things. We are many, many things. And we have to learn to accept each other for who we are and how we want to be perceived and treated. And that can change from day to day. I'm not saying that you have to assume one thing and say, this is who I am, take it or leave it. Because who you are now may not be who you are 10 minutes from now. Because what we also learn in our lives are humans, all of us, we all interact and we kind of bump each other through life, through the experiences, and bumping into someone on the street and something happens, good and bad. It changes us. And I don't know, I think it's a big, big, big experience. And we just have to not keep repeating the same mistakes. So a lot of what happens in this play, the discussions of, in this case, the sort of swapping out of sort of a traditional, what would be considered a traditionally feminine sensibility over a traditionally masculine sensibility. I'm all for that, by the way. I think that, that's got to change. It has to, because we just, in my lifetime, I've seen mistakes on a monumental scale happen over and over and over again. And roles, I have seen traditionally masculine creatures assume traditionally feminine roles and perform them beautifully. And I have seen traditionally feminine creatures assume traditionally masculine roles and perform them beautifully. So I think we're capable of so much, all of us. We're all capable of growth and change. Does anyone have any thoughts to that before I continue yammering? Please, I'll shut up now. You can comment and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine too. please.
So just real quick, heading back to what Nick just said about animals assuming certain roles that are traditionally assigned to a certain sex. Here's a little fact. Did you know that male seahorses can get pregnant?
Mhm. Yeah. How amazing is that? You know, like, and again, you tend to think, no, that's not the way it works in life. Well, guess what? It does. And I wonder if that was always the case, or if that was how it evolved in the evolution of a seahorse. And is that an evolution that could happen to human animals? Maybe. Anything's possible. Does anyone else have any great pearls of wisdom to share? But I have to commend you, Rebecca, because all of this came from this play and this discussion, and I love. I think your work does this a lot. You're very, very. You've got a very rich soul.
Thank you, but I do want to point out that it is inspired by this other person's book. So the book is really, I mean, there are some scenes in the book that made me really angry, and that I honestly felt like I have to find this woman and I have to talk to her about this and say, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I just felt so bewildered by her vision of the future. And I recommend reading it and then also listening to her speak, because she speaks a lot about you know, women not being morally superior. That was a phrase that I really wanted to reiterate in the play, because I heard her say that and I thought, oh, that's so interesting. Do I think women are morally superior? No, I don't. But I do think that the feminine is definitely what we need, and that we have an imbalance currently. It's not about, see, even the concept of superior and inferior is a finite, limited lens through which to talk about anything. That's just how the patriarchy wants to measure everything. Are you better than this, or are you worse than this? It doesn't even make any sense.
No.
And certainly I also, you know, feminism is one of the most important things in my life. And I would be so horrified for anyone that I knew or met to think that I didn't like men after having read anything that I'd written or heard me speak aloud, because I don't think that it's about men and women. I think it's the structure of our society and what we want people to be and perform that really gives us problems, obviously. So anyway, read the book.
No, I love it, and I agree. I think that what we are very out of balance as a society, as a world. There has been a great cry for you know, with so many of the political movements that have been occurring, specifically these last several years. When we talk about Black Lives Matter, when we talk about Me Too, when we talk about all of these, it's really not so much to reverse the polarity. It's to create equality, to even it out, to try to find some sort of equilibrium in this, because we're, you know, and balance is something that will always shift. It's never going to, you know, we always totter back.
Gaia, I just realized, Gaia, I totally hopped in front of you when you were going to talk before.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Muted.
No, but I'm just realizing actually what you had to say was so much better than what I was going to say, because you're like, yeah. You understand this all so well. I mean, I really relate to what you're saying and writing about. But I find it, what I now wanted to say is that I've always found fascinating this need to define a person by the way they look, and that has never been something that I related to. I never defined anyone just by being a man or a woman or a color of skin or anything. I just look at the person. And that's, I wonder where that need comes from like being afraid of anyone who's different. So you have to define, and we have to be, these people are like this and these people are like this. It's an interesting concept how that was even developed. I guess tribes.
We like our tribes. We like
Yeah.
our tribes. That's it.
But yeah, it's funny how how deeply engraved it is in us. Like even you were talking about shaving, Melissa, like how we you know, grew into not shaving because other people wanted us to, but because we were disgusted by our hair or whatever, right? That's how I felt, you know. But it can't come from us because it's not natural, right? So it has to come from and all these things come from outside.
Mhm.
So society, yeah, it's a really. So I do hope that our stars are changing, that we are the change we want to see in the world, and that we're making a difference, and yeah, creating new narratives.
Mhm. Agreed. I think we all have to put that out there, and we just have to constantly keep, you know, it's energy. A lot of that is energy. So the more we do, the better the better chance that that will happen.
Yeah.
We talked about the energy of this group and how it paired together, and how you know, that was not something that was planned. It was something that just happened. Why? I have no idea. Can't explain it, but it did. So that was the energy that created that created this pairing. So I am very grateful to that, and we need to feel that a bit more and learn from it, I think. Yeah. Subin, I want to just ask one more question before we finish for the evening. This was your first opportunity, your first experience working with us, with TBTB, working in this way. Can I ask you, have you been doing a lot of like virtual theater, online stuff? And if you haven't, what was this like for you? If you have, well, what was this like in comparison?
Virtual theater, actually a lot. So I'm on an artist visa. Mine got approved this past June, and like, thank you. I had basically 1 year to build my portfolio. You know, I had only been graduated like for a year or so, and COVID hit, and I had to do as many things as possible. So I did a lot of virtual theater. That was just not an option for me. Like, you know. Um so yeah, like my theater company, Scary Ho Theater, we actually hosted a lot of virtual theaters during quarantine and everything. This was interesting because like I think this was like by far like the biggest like virtual theater like organized like anything that I've done. And you know, just like being paired like randomly and just meeting so many like fascinating people that like inspire me, that was just awesome because like you said, it just happened, and like I wouldn't have like thought to be paired with you. Like I wouldn't have been able to like plan that, and that just happened, and I really love the experience so far.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that you're working with us, and that you had the opportunity, and we're going to get a chance to work together again in a few days, isn't it? And when is your next show?
The 31st, I think.
Oh my goodness, that's right. It's the end. It's like the end of the run, but that will give everybody an incentive to continue tuning in. So thank you for being here. Thanks for coming, and for all of your wonderful work. Thank you all. You are all amazing, and I love you all dearly, and I appreciate everything that you brought to elevate this work and to elevate this company by your presence and your talent. And I need to thank you. No, seriously, you are just.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you times infinity.
Times infinity. Oh, okay. No touchbacks. I want to thank all of you for watching tonight. Thanks for being a part of our work, for taking the time to spend it with us. I hope that you will tell your families, your friends, everybody to tune in, because we have wow, we're not even halfway through here. We're running through April 1st. So tune in every night, 7:30 on YouTube, 8:30 right here on Facebook. And again, if you like what you saw, just make sure you share it with the world. Come to our website. You can see what we've been up to, check out our history, our mission, and what we're going to be doing. And if you really, really, really like us and you want to support us even further, aside from your time and attention, which is always the most important thing, you can always donate to us by clicking the donate button at the top of the page. And that sort of makes your support even more appreciated, and it makes you more of a partner. You're more vested in the work that we're doing. So tomorrow, we will talk about tomorrow. We have, again, guess what? Another wonderful play. All this work, by the way, first time. No one has seen it before except for right here. It has been created for you. So tomorrow we are going to be presenting a wonderful play by Estrella Tamez. You had the opportunity to see Estrella's acting chops earlier on. And again, the opportunity to see all of the work that you guys do, all of the gifts you have, it just amazing. It's just my cup runneth over. The play is called In Grief and in Praise, directed beautifully by Robin Carmen Marshall, writer, director, actor, teacher, okay? And another stellar cast: Lori Brown Yang, Dante Jace, Patrick J. O'Hare, 7:30, YouTube, 8:30 here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will see you tomorrow night. And thank you, you wonderful, wonderful group of artists. You made my day. Have a good night, all. Awesome. So we decided we were going to shift gears to and